Since conception in 1947, both Pakistan and India have fought multiple large-scale conventional battles, many of which can be classified as one of the largest tank battles in history after World War II. Learning from their experiences in these battles, the both arch rivals have been continuously upgrading their armored columns, and this of course includes more work in their indigenous tank programs. Today, we will discuss the outcomes of these programs and how Pakistan's Al-Khalid and India's Arjun main battle tank compare against one another. I'm your host, Blitz Falcon, and welcome to Pakistan Strategic Forum. Special shout out to Stingray and Bluetooth who helped gather valuable and necessary information on this topic. Starting with the Indian side, we can see that they have produced the Arjun main battle tank in their indigenous tank program. The tank was developed by India's Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO for the Indian Army. The program started back in 1972, but it was only in 1996 that the Indian government decided to mass produce the tank. When first accepted for service in the army, the Arjun relied heavily on foreign components and technology. Initially, close to 50% of the tank's components were imported, which included the engine, transmission, gun barrel, tracks, and fire control system. However, several of these have been since replaced by indigenous systems or are being supplied by Indian companies. Now, the project itself experienced serious budget overruns and repeated delays that resulted in a development time of over 37 years. One complicating factor was that advances in technology and threat environment in the intervening years had led to multiple revisions of requirements by the Indian Army. Now, while the government had sanctioned around $52.4 million for the initial design in May 1974, by 1995 DRDO had spent around $201.7 million on development, mainly due to changing requirements and inflationary cost increases. Now we come towards the Pakistani side, which hosts the Al-Khalid main battle tank. It is a tank which was jointly developed by Pakistan and China during the 1990s based on the Chinese Type 92M tank. The Al-Khalid was revealed on 17 July 1991 in a ceremony held at Heavy Rebuild Factory HRF, now known as HIT. A joint development deal was signed with Pakistan in January 1990, and initially Chinese-built prototypes were tested in Pakistan, but by 1992 Pakistan had completed its own manufacturing plant at Texla. Pakistan spent around more than $20 million over the next 8 years on co-development of a model suitable for its needs and on creating a capability to manufacture it locally. The Director General of Heavy Industries Texla, Lieutenant General Hamid Javed, and Major General Muhammad Asad supervised this project. The design team additionally modified the tank to be able to accept foreign-built engine models. Initially, several different prototypes were made and tested for evaluation in light of high ambient temperatures and fine sands that would be encountered in operational areas such as deserts of southern Pakistan. The development of high-performance cooling and air filtration systems was emphasized during the planning stage. Implementation of a hydro-gas suspension system was also considered, but after technical evaluation it was found to be impractical due to various limitations such as problems with reliability and maintenance. Initially, installation of a Rank 304 transmission was also considered but discarded later on. One of the earliest prototype versions came with a Chinese gun and fire control system alongside a German-designed MTU 396 diesel engine, which was built under license in China. Another version was equipped with a more advanced Western digital fire control system and powered by a Perkins 1200 horsepower Condor diesel engine, the same one used in British Challenger, and SESM ESM 500 automatic transmission, which was also used in French Leclerc. This version was considered too expensive, however, and underperformed in extreme heat of southern Pakistan. Finally, a version was tested with the compact Ukrainian STD2 1200 horsepower diesel engine, and this configuration was chosen by Pakistan for the production version of the tank. Now, Ukraine had also sold Pakistan T-80UD tanks before, which came powered with a similar engine. Now, the final tank design resulting from a decade of cooperative development was designated the Type 92M export name MBT 2000. This version was powered by Ukrainian engine and Western fire control system alongside local subsystems of intended use for domestic production in Pakistan, and this tank came to be named as the Al-Khalid. Now then, with general history out of the way, we can get to comparing both tanks one on one in terms of armor, protection, mobility, firepower, and fire and command control system. First up comes armor and protection, and to begin with, we'll start looking at the Arjun first. The Arjun has a basic design inherited mainly from the German Leopard 2 tank, as visible from main hull and perpendicular turret design. Leopold itself has fairly good protection, but when it comes to Arjun, well, let's discuss its armor composition. The Arjun tank is armored by Kanchan armor, which is, of course, of composite nature. It is made by sandwiching composite panels between road homogeneous armor, which helps in defeating APFSDS and heat rounds. A new honeycomb design of non-explosive and non-energetic reactive armor, also known as NERA, and of course nuclear, biological, and chemical MBC protection equipment, along with minesweeps and an automatic firefighting system, are also set up in the Arjun Mark II variant. Additionally, an electronic countermine system can also be installed to disable magnetic mines and disrupt its electronics before the tank reaches them. Signature reduction suit is also available for this design to reduce the possibilities of the object to be detected by infrared, thermo, and radar bands. The planned improvements also include electronic optical IR dazzlers. Next, we take a look at Pakistan's Al-Khalid main battle tank. Now, when it comes to armor, the tank is equipped with a classified modular composite armor placed between homogeneously rolled armor and additionally explosive reactive armor ERA for further protection against RPG, APFSDS, heat, and hash rounds. The Al-Khalid is equipped with a domestically developed AORAK Mk2 explosive reactive armor, which is lightweight and more resistant to APFSDS, heat, and HE rounds. This ERA is developed by Pakistan's state-owned company known as Global Industrial Defense Solutions, or GIDS, and it provides a protection level of 350 to 400 against APFSDS and 450 to 500 against heat shells. The tank was also seen to be protected by an electro-optical active protection system known as VATRA, but only initial batches were seen with that APS as it was rejected by Army later on. The tank also has internal heat suppression and extinguisher systems in case of an internal explosion, along with air conditioning and MBC, also known as nuclear, biological, and chemical protection. Thus, the tank is capable of all sorts of conventional and non-conventional warfare. The tank can also be equipped with minesweepers which are placed in front of the tracks. An advanced laser detection system from ATCOP is also added. The LTS-1 consists of a mast-mounted sensor and operator's control box, which includes a display showing threats 360 degrees around the tank. It can detect laser rangefinders, laser target designators, and responds automatically by triggering acoustic alarms, smoke generators, and other countermeasure systems. The LTS-1 can detect laser devices operating in 0.8 to 1.06 micrometer wave band and has a 360-degree field of view and a field of elevation around -15 degrees to +90. Another thing to mention is the laser threat sensor on the tank, the LTS-786P, which is an early warning device which gives audio and visual alarms of threat by sensing a laser beam aimed at it from any direction. The exact location of the threat is indicated by 9 LEDs covering all directions above the horizon. It has the capability to differentiate between a laser rangefinder, laser target designator, or a laser target tracker signal. Provision of sensor output signal interference for appropriate countermeasures is also available. It can be used on stationary or moving objects of any size and shape, and the maximum operating range is around 10 kilometers. We will now discuss the mobility of both tanks. Weighing in at 58.5 tons, the Arjun tank is significantly heavier than the Soviet legacy tanks used presently by the Indian Army. This created a requirement for changes to the Army's logistics establishment, including new railroad cars to transport the bigger and heavier Arjuns. This required logistical changes and has increased the overall cost of Arjun program significantly. The engine and transmission are provided by German companies MTU and Renk respectively. The water-cooled engine generates 1400 horsepower and is integrated with the Indian turbocharger and epicyclic train gearbox with 4 forward and 2 reverse gears. Still, a local transmission is under trials and is envisioned to ultimately replace the German supplied unit. An interesting fact is that the Arjun has a lower ground pressure than the lighter T-72 due to its design. The tank features a hydrodynamic suspension which allows the tank great first hit probability against moving targets while on the move, but it is more maintenance intensive and expensive, even if more capable than the simpler and cheaper torsion bar system used on other tanks. During trials, the Arjun showcased its forging capability by driving under 1.8 meters of water for 20 minutes. A new 1500 horsepower engine is also being developed and will eventually replace the present engine on later tank variants. While we're at it, let's look at the general specifications of Arjun main battle tank and its variants. When it comes to mass, the total tonnage of Mk1 is 58.5 tons, while for Mk1A it is 68 and Mk2 also 68 tons. The length of Mk1 is 10.19 meters, while for Mk2 is 10.64 meters. Width of Mk1 is 3.85 meters, while for Mk2 it is 3.95 meters. Height of Mk1 is 2.32 meters, while for Mk2 it is 2.8 meters. Power and weight: 24 HP per ton in Mk1, while 27 HP per ton in Mk2. Operational range of Mk1 is 450 kilometers, while for Mk2 is 400 kilometers. This is due to the massive difference in weight between the two variants. Then comes maximum speed of Mk1 is around 70 kilometers, while for Mk1A is 65 kilometers per hour. This is also due to the difference in weight. Next, we take a look at the Al-Khalid. The Al-Khalid main battle tank is powered by a Ukrainian KMBD 6TD2 diesel engine, which provides a horsepower up to 1200 HP. The engine can operate up to a maximum of 55 degrees centigrade and high dust content of air without limiting the speed. The equipped power plant is very easy to operate and shares easy maintenance properties. It is a 6-cylinder engine with a fuel consumption of up to 160 gram per horsepower hour. Equipped with a transmission system of SESM ESM 500 5-speed automatic transmission, it provides power shift transmission of 5 forward gears and 2 reverse gears. The transmission weighs at around 1.8 tons and provides integrated high performance braking system. The Al-Khalid is fairly lightweight compared to other Western tanks. It comes at around 48 tons compared to American M1 Abrams, which weighs at around 60 tons. Power to weight ratio of 26.66 horsepower per ton gives acceleration from 0 to 32 kilometers per hour in just 10 seconds and a maximum speed of 70 kilometers per hour. This speed and agility helps improve survivability. The tank is also equipped with torsion bar suspension system. Overall, the tank has a combat range of 500 kilometers, and additionally, a snorkel also allows the tank to cross water obstacles up to 5 meters deep, after preparation by the crew, of course. Meanwhile, navigation is assisted by inertial navigation system (INS) and a GPS satellite navigation system. With that out of the way, here are some general specifications of the Al-Khalid main battle tank. The Al-Khalid weighs at around 47 tons. Its length is 6.9 meters, weight is 3.4 meters, height at 2.3 meters. Its crew comprises of 3 men. Its operational range is 500 kilometers and its power to weight ratio is 26 horsepower per ton. Next, we will be taking a look at the firepower and armament of both tanks, firstly starting with the Arjun. Armed with a 120 rifle main gun, the Arjun is believed to be capable of firing APFSTS rounds, HE, heat, and HESH rounds at a rate of 6 to 8 rounds per minute. The Arjun was planned to be equipped with Israeli Lahat missile, which is an anti-tank as well as anti-helicopter for low-altitude operations, and has an effective range of 6,000 meters. But this was later dropped as the missile could not meet Indian Army's requirements of being able to engage targets at less than 1,200 meters. The secondary armament of Arjun consists of a remote-operated 12.7 anti-aircraft machine gun, which has its own sight in Mark II variant, and a 7.62 coaxial machine gun, which is placed alongside the main gun. It can carry 39 rounds in special blast-proof canisters and uses a manual loader with a crewman to reload the gun. The Arjun can fire locally developed anti-tank guided missiles which has a range of up to 4,000 meters and comprises a tandem-shaped warhead capable of defeating ERA protection of enemy tanks. The rifled gun of Arjun, however, is something unusual in modern tanks, and only UK's Challenger tanks currently have such rifled guns, but those are also soon to be taken out of service. Hence, Arjun will be the only tank in the world that still uses rifle guns as its main gun. This gun has its own pros and cons. It has better precision, yes, but it will have lower lifespan. Moreover, a fraction kinetic energy is also lost in providing the spin action to the rounds, thus, they won't be able to effectively penetrate as much as it would have with a smoothbore gun. The penetration of APFSTS rounds fired from Arjun is believed to be a mere 300 over 200 meters against RHA, if we are to believe the latest information in Indian websites. Next up is the Al-Khalid main battle tank that comes armed with a 125 smoothbore main gun. Initially, its barrel was imported from France, but later on it was domestically produced in Heavy Industries Texla. It is an auto-frigated and chrome-plated gun barrel with standard barrel life of 1100 rounds. Stabilized on two axes and assisted with an auto-loader which can load 8 rounds per minute, the tank is able to fire a maximum of 8 rounds per minute accurately on stationary as well as moving targets, even if the tank itself is moving. It has comprised fire control and tracking system, which has a processing time of 1 second and assists the gunner in engaging enemy targets. The gun provides highly pressurized internal chamber for APFSTS, heat and HE shells, as well as being able to fire Ukrainian anti-tank guided missiles called the Combat. The APFSTS rounds used on Al-Khalid are of tungsten cartridge rounds, which has 700 penetration of rolled homogeneous armor at 2 kilometers. The Al-Khalid also uses Ukrainian depleted rounds, whose 2003 data shows 570 penetration in rolled homogeneous armor by 2 kilometers, but since improvements have been made by then, the round is much more effective than the tungsten rounds used by Pakistan Army, meaning it likely has more than 700 penetration at 2 kilometers. The gun retains highly accurate firepower on stationary as well as moving targets. The tank also includes a muzzle reference system for aim correction, which increases its precision hit capability. On the secondary firepower side, the Al-Khalid has 12.7 anti-aircraft MG for the commander and a 7.62 coaxial MG next to the main gun. Sources state that the 12.7 machine gun can be aimed and fired from within the tank, but how it's done is not known to us. Now we shift over the fire control systems, and first let's get started with Arjun. The computerized fire control system on board Arjun has been jointly developed by DRDO with Israeli company Elbit. The fire control system is stabilized on two axes with an extremely high hit probability, replacing one earlier analog system which had problems due to its inability to function under harsh desert conditions. The combined day sight from Bharat Electronics Limited and a thermal imager constitute the gunner's primary sight. The first batch of tanks of 124 ordered by the Army will have an all-digital Segam FCS, whereas the second batch will have BEL unit, which will be used for all units thereafter. The commander has his own stabilized panoramic sight as well, and the Arjun has an auxiliary power unit to operate weapon systems in silence while in watch mode. The Arjun has the capability to network with other tanks as well, thanks to its battle management system. In a search and engage operation, several Arjun tanks can monitor an opponent and his moves and try to eliminate him in a chase or ambush operation. With the Indian Arjun covered, we can now shift over to Al-Khalid main battle tank. Within the Al-Khalid, the gunner is provided with a dual magnification day sight and the commander with a panoramic sight for all-around surveillance. Both sights are dual-axis image stabilized and have independent laser range finders. The tank has hunter-killer capability, which means the commander has the ability to acquire new targets independently while the gunner is engaged with another target. The automatic target tracking system is designed to work when the tank and target are both moving. Night vision for the gunner and commander is achieved through a dual magnification thermal imaging sight. Both sides are integrated with the fire control system. The production Al-Khalid tank has a fire control system of Western origin. In the MBT 2000, the Chinese Norinco fire control system has inputs from 10 sensors. The ballistic communication time is less than that of 1 second, and the manufacturer claims that routine first round hits on standard 8 feet square targets at ranges of over 2000 meters. It has a laser ranging from 200 to 9990 meters, along with French auto tracking interfaced with gunner station, firing 4 types of munitions, gunner's thermal imaging sight, commander's image intensification, night vision sight, gyro stabilized, and UPS power supply system. The tank is equipped with the Integrated Battlefield Management System (IBMS) named REBAR, a digital communication system developed domestically by HIT and CARE, Center of Advanced Research in Engineering. It comprises a flat screen display mounted inside the tank which communicates with those of other vehicles, including command posts such as the HIT SACUB. It uses a data link to facilitate secure communication of battlefield information between units, including tank video footage and information from unmanned aerial vehicles. In conclusion, although the Arjun has better sensor suite and command and control system as compared to that of Al-Khalid, its firepower lacks greatly and is nowhere near on par with its counterpart, the Al-Khalid. Both tanks have composite as well as ERA armor, but Arjun Mk2, which is not yet inducted in Indian Army in masses, has more ERA coverage on howtop and turret, but it also has a major disadvantage. The weight is surprisingly increased and the tank is unable to fight in urban warfare. In deserts, it needs a good power to weight ratio, which is okay but bad as compared to that of Al-Khalid. Arjun also has another major flaw in its design. It has front turret part uncovered. Even the thermal sight has no armor protection behind it. In case a round smashes the sensor in this small area, it will pass through the crew compartment, roasting the commander, gunner, and the loader for sure. Likewise, the Al-Khalid also has small ERA armor coverage in the lower hull plate, but Al-Khalid has full coverage for upper hull, which is mostly prone to attacks, while the turret has 2 deflector plates with ERA coverage. In addition, the Al-Khalid has thermal cloak, which can hide it from thermal imaging cameras. Its low profile also helps it avoid being hunted, which is not the case with Arjun. Hence, Al-Khalid is agile, has 3 times more superior firepower and competitive fire control system. Only thing in which Arjun leads is armor protection. Both tanks have guided ATGMs, through which they can blow each other's. Both lack a dedicated APS system. That would be all in comparison of the Pakistani Al-Khalid and Indian Arjun main battle tank. If you liked the video, please leave a like, comment and subscribe, as well as visit our other social media platforms. Their links are given in the description below. This is Blitz Falcon signing off.